my new show. Let's Kiki about it. Woo! So this show has been kind of a long time coming. Some of you might know. I have been told on multiple occasions by multiple people, which includes people that I know personally, people that I don't know personally, all that good stuff, that I should start a podcast because I never shut the fuck up. So that's what we're doing here today in the studio. Yeah, let's get hype. Let's get hype. So this show is going to be basically me talking the entire time. There really is nothing else to it. There's no real substance other than me just talking about whatever I feel like talking. Think a la the Broski Report, a la Caleb Heron, if I were to ever have a guest, which we'll see. I don't know. I haven't really decided if I want a guest yet. I have a list of people I would like to interview. We'll kind of go from there. First thing on the agenda, you guys are probably wondering, who the fuck is this girl and why is she talking to me and why am I spending the time listening to her? Very, very, very good questions, all very valid questions. So my name is Kiki, in case you haven't figured it out from the title. That's fine. That's fine. I mean, some people are slower than others. Trust me, I'm the slowest of them all. I am the tortoise. My name is Kiki. Real name has been redacted due to government issues. Not really. I just don't like going by my government name. I prefer going by Kiki, and that's what you're going to be referring to me as. So, point blank period. I am a student at Oklahoma State University. Woo, go Pokes, all that good stuff. I am also studying civil engineering. Yeah, yikes. Would you believe it? I'm tired, guys. I'll be real with you. I'm so tired. I just want to finish school already. I wanted to pick up podcasting as a habit because, like I said, I never shut the fuck up. And also, I feel like this would be a good way for me to kind of use this as a vocal journal, if you will. A audio journal as opposed to a physical journal, which I have a hard time keeping because I either forget about it or I'm the type of person that writes, today was a day. At the end of the day, it's the end of the day. Yeah, like we get it, girl. So that's what this podcast is going to be all about. Speaking of hobbies, I said habits earlier, didn't I? Well, speaking of habits and hobbies, I guess they're the same thing. I guess if you have a hobby long enough, it becomes a habit. I also do enjoy the occasional knitting, the occasional crocheting. I actually set a goal for this year to knit 2 sweaters, so we'll see how that goes. One of my other hobbies, or habits, if you will, is reading. I recently got back into reading, and I'm very much proud of myself for that. Another goal I set for myself this year was to read 10 books, and I'm on 6, so I think I'm doing pretty good for myself. I will say some of those books have been a little bit on the shorter side, like Animal Farm by George Orwell or Serious Concerns by Wendy Cope. You know, the girl that wrote the orange poem, the one I'm going to get tattooed permanently on my skin. Yeah, I'm serious about it. Let me tell you something. But I'm still counting them. I mean, they're still books. They're still, feeding my brain, letting me exercise my brain in something other than, doom scrolling on TikTok or, unfortunately, Instagram Reels, But yeah, those are my hobbies. I have goals set this year for me to explore my hobbies. Podcasting wasn't in my literal 2025 bingo. Like, I made a physical bingo card. My literal 2025 bingo card. I did not have this set up. This wasn't something that I was planning on doing. Like I said, I have met many of people throughout the years who have told me that I should really get into podcasting, and I just thought, you know what? My campus has free resources. Shout out OK State, they have free resources for people like me to get into podcasting. And I really appreciate that. So here I am. Some fun facts about myself, guys. I know you want to know so much about me. This will actually probably be my favorite episode because I will just be talking about me and you guys will get to know everything about me because I don't care about you. JK, love you guys. Anyone who listens, love you so much, Pookie. Mwah. But This is about me right now. This is Kiki about it. By who? Kiki. Yeah, that's right. We're going to Kiki about Kiki. Let me tell you something. Some fun facts about me. I am, like I said, avid reader, love reading, favorite genres, mystery thriller, which also happens to be my favorite movie genres. I am a slut for a good horror movie. I'm trying to think of the most recent one. Oh my God, Barbarian. Have you guys seen that one? The Barbarians or Barbarian or something like that? So good. Loved the ending. Cried a little bit. Like, I teared up. Like, it was, that's what horror should be. Horror, it's a beautiful genre. It really is. You can tell such a good, heartwarming story through it. Like Mama, do you guys remember that movie from way back when? That movie made my mom cry. Like, that's how serious it was. I love horror so much. It is such a good genre. And honestly, horror, we're going to talk about the Oscars. Probably not in this episode, but in the next episode. But horror always gets snubbed when it comes to award shows. Nosferatu not being nominated for anything was honestly one of the biggest snubs of the year, minus the whole Wicked thing. Besides that, so disappointed. I love Nosferatu. Nosferatu are for the freaky girls. And let me tell you something. Let me tell you who's a freaky girl for real. I wholeheartedly believe Nosferatu was snubbed. That was such a good film. Lily Rose Depp, I really want to see her in a lot more horror movies. She has the face for horror movies. She has the charisma. She knows what's going to set people off, what's going to raise their heart rate. And I love that. Love it. I tried to recreate her faces in the mirror to see if I could do it. Hell no. And I'm not a professional actress. So, a professional actress would never be able to match up to her. Like, she's a real one. She deserves to be the new Scream Queen. Let me tell you something. But I'm going to go ahead and stop right there because I'm not joking when I say I can talk about horror movies for literally ever and ever and eons and eons. Another little fun fact about me, guys, in case you were curious, I'm going to give you 2 seconds to guess what my sign is. And I'm going to tell you right now that, wrong. It's not whatever you're thinking it is. It's actually Libra. Thank you very much. I am a Libra sun, Virgo moon, Capricorn rising. So, you astrology bitches, take what you will from that and let me know what you think. Let me know if whether or not this is an elite combo. I think it is, but I think I'm just a narcissist who has nothing better to do with her time than just think about herself. One last little fun fact about me, guys. I know you're sitting there and you're thinking to yourself, is she single? Because I really want to get in her pants. I hate to break it to you guys, but no, I'm not single. I am actually with the absolute love of my life. I will not say his name on this podcast for privacy reasons. His name is Damore. And I am obsessed with this man. I love him so. Never thought that I would join the dark side. Never thought that I would be one of those girls who, loves a man. You know what I mean? Just looks at a man and is like, yeah, I like him. Never thought I'd be one of those girls, but here we are. Life just works in mysterious ways, But enough about a man. Let's get into the bread and butter, the meat, the entrees. But let's get real. Let's look me in my eyes and let's talk about what this podcast is going to be about. As I said earlier, I never shut up. I can talk and talk and talk, and I never get tired of talking, especially if it's about myself. Because like I said, I am a narcissist. So this podcast is going to be about anything. I want to talk about anything that piques my interest, any drop in the ocean of pop culture that I think is worthy of my time, yes, my precious time on this planet Earth, to talk about. As I said earlier, next episode I'll be talking about the Oscars, mainly because I didn't watch the Oscars, so I kind of feel like I have to watch something in order to have comments about it. But there are some people out there who like to make comments about things that they don't know nothing about. At least I'm the educated few. Something that you can expect from this podcast is anything about pop culture, anything about what I'm doing in my life currently, any sort of updates on my physical bingo card. I did have to cross out 2 of the squares, not cross out for a bingo, but cross out because they're actually never going to happen ever, or in this year at least. So 2 less, little bingos I could have gotten. And we might also have a couple guests on this podcast. Like I said, I have a couple people that I'm interested in interviewing. So I'll, message them, see if they're interested in having an interview with me, a little sit down, a little Kiki with Kiki, you know what I mean? And you know what? I'll be real with you guys. I probably will also be venting on this podcast. Like I said, this is more for me than it is for any of you. It is also for a couple of people because they have been begging me to do this for a while now. But for those select few people, they're going to have to get through it. So the general vibe I'm kind of going for this podcast is, pretty chill. I'll probably crack a few bad jokes here and there. And maybe thought-provoking if you guys think the stuff that I say is thought-provoking. And by that I mean, if I say something absolutely absurd and you think to yourself, wow, is this really how I want to waste my time on Earth? But nonetheless, I hope you guys enjoy this podcast as much as I'm enjoying making it. I will be posting episodes about every other week, depending on my schedule. I'll be trying to make at least 2 episodes per session in the studio, so keep an eye out for that. And for the second episode, I think I'm going to go ahead and do a video recording along with the audio. I didn't do a video this time just because it was my first session in the studio and I wasn't too sure what it was going to be like to record and video, I guess also record myself. So, there's some trial and error. I'm still trying to figure it out. But by episode 2, I promise you guys that I will be having a video going along with the audio. Now, enough of that boring stuff. I have a fun little icebreaker segment for you guys. Yeah, let's get hyped. Okay, actually, that was very fucking rude. So I pulled up a couple of questions from the audience, and by the audience, I mean Google. And I'm just going to go ahead and answer some of these questions that you guys are just dying to know about me. Number 1, what's your favorite way to spend the day off? Very good question. Thank you so much for asking. Usually rot in bed. That's a top contender. I also like to watch TV. Right now, I have been watching Regular Show. Give it up for Regular Show. It's so dumb. I also like to dilly-dally. Let me tell you something about me. I'm going to lollygag and dilly-dally all day long. Because God forbid someone has fun and whimsy in this world. And lastly, I love to hang out with my friends. And by friends, I mean only 2 of them, which I guess that is still technically a plural. Shout out Sweater and Brooke. Woo! The next question is, what type of music are you into? So this one's a little bit hard because I do listen to a bunch of different genres, but I will say it all tends to boil down to pop, specifically British pop. And you girls know who I'm talking about when I say British pop. This is how to be a heartbreaker. That's right, I'm talking about Marina, formerly Marina and the Diamonds. Also, a huge One Direction fan. RIP Liam. Guys, Liam passing was my 9/11. And I mean that with my full chest. He was my Princess Di. That was my 9/11 and my Princess Di rolled up into one giant event. That's how much it hurt for me to see Liam pass. He was the backbone of One Direction. And I actually have the song that he wrote that he was most proud of while in One Direction tattooed on my thigh. So I feel like we have that personal connection, even though he has no idea who I am or will ever know who I am. Oh my God, he's dead. Sorry, y'all. I had to pause the podcast there for a second. I lost my cool there. Let's go ahead and move on, shall we? Let's do that. Question number 3. What was the best vacation you ever took and why? So, a little over 2 years ago, my brothers and I did a little backpacking trip to the UK and France. So, we were there for about, I want to say 3 to 4 days per city. So, we went to London, and then we went to Glasgow, and then we went to Paris. And the reason we got there is actually kind of a crazy story. One of my favorite artists of all time is Mitski. I actually got to see her recently for my birthday back in September. She was touring with Harry Styles, guys. Harry frickin' Styles. And she was opening for him. And do you want to know how much the tickets are for floor seats for Harry Styles in Dallas, Texas? It was $500. $500 for pit seats to see Harry Styles in, of all the places in the world, Dallas frickin' Texas. Don't get me wrong, Dallas is better than Tulsa by like a landslide. But really, I'm not going to be paying that much to be in like the armpit of Texas. But you'll never get this. Guess how much it was to see him in the floor in Glasgow. I'm going to give you 2 seconds to guess. $72. USD, baby. I paid $72 per ticket to go see him in a whole different country. Because if there's one thing you need to know about me, it's I either go big or I go home. And let me tell you something. I didn't go home that night. I went to Scotland. I had the time of my freaking life. It was so much fun. The crowd was amazing. I got to see my man, Harry, and I got to see Mitski. Unfortunately, I was the only one in the crowd who was singing to Mitski, and everyone else was laughing at her. But not me, baby girl. Mitski, if you're listening to this, I want you to know that I am your ride or die. I was like 10 toes down singing every single song that you performed that day. I was clapping. I was crying. I was going through like the 5 stages of grief. Mitski, you don't understand how much I love you. I have you tattooed on my skin. You are actually my first tattoo. My favorite song by Mitski is First Love, Late Spring. You guys better check it out on Spotify, Apple Music, wherever you listen to your music. That song is a masterpiece, and I am almost 25, and I have never related to a song more in my life. The concert was just, it was breathtaking. I had the time of my life. And I got to go to London beforehand, and afterwards I was going to Paris. Like, I was living it up. We got to go to Disney World in Paris. That was a lot of fun. And, like, one of my favorite memories of all time, like, of my entire life, was sitting under the Eiffel Tower with my brothers at sunset. It was the most gorgeous scene I have ever seen in my entire life. I'll go ahead and post a video or a picture for the YouTube channel, so that way you guys can see like what my view was. It was breathtaking, to say the least. Definitely one of the best vacation spots I've ever been to, and I would love to go again, especially with my brothers. Like, I love my brothers. They are my best friends. They are my ride or dies. Let me tell you something. We are basically triplets. So being able to explore 3 whole new countries with them was a blast. I had so much fun. And guess what? We didn't argue at all, except for one time, because I was doing really good on directions, guys. Like, my brother Damien applauded me, and he's like, "You've been doing so good with directions," until it was like the middle of the night, and I was taking us the complete wrong direction from our hotel, and then he got mad at me, and then he yelled at me. Damien, if you're listening to this, I want you to know that I never forgot that. I hold that in my head, like you yelling at me. But it's okay. I forgive him because he actually did a lot for us in that trip. He was kind of like the dad on that trip, which is ironic considering that now he's a father. Shout out, Luca. But 10 out of 10, not to sound like that bitch, but I recommend everyone take a 2-week vacation to Europe. All right, keeping up with the traveling theme. The next question is, where's the next place on your travel bucket list and why? One of my listeners out there knows what I'm about to say, and that is Thailand. So one of my best friends in the whole entire world, and yes, I said friends because I have multiple best friends in the whole entire world. That is a thing that is possible, men. She is currently in Thailand for the Peace Corps, and she'll be there for the next 2 years. Can you believe it? 2 years in a whole different country. Like, it would be different if the country spoke a common language with you, but she doesn't know Thai at all, and she's just hanging out over there, which, like, so brave. I applaud her. I wish I could do that. But she is just so amazing. And I plan on visiting her after her first year, I think is what we kind of settled on. So we'll be going to obviously Bangkok and maybe travel to some of like the smaller places in Thailand. I read recently that Thailand is actually like the top country for tourism. So that'll be a lot of fun to see if that really stacks up. Also, funny story. I actually had a dream once that I visited Abby in Thailand and they had Thai tea on tap, baby. On tap. I texted her the next day and was like, please tell me that's true. And she's like, you are literally insane. That's not a real thing here. But I guess a girl can dream, literally. So Abby Pookie, don't worry, I'm on my way. The next question, I kind of already answered a little bit, but I'll go ahead and answer it again. What are your hobbies and how did you get into them? I am one of those girls that have at least a billion hobbies at once. Some of my main hobbies, though, is knitting, crocheting, I guess as of now, podcasting, if this becomes a main hobby, and also reading. As for how I got into them, I have been knitting for a long time, actually. I remember being like, 8 years old and getting my first knitting loom and making like hats and scarves and stuff. I also used to go to summer school and they had a little knitting course for us to do. And I, obviously partaken? I'll have to Google that. Obviously, I did that. Sorry. And after that, I got into crochet during, I want to say COVID years when everyone was doing crochet and everyone was trying to make that iconic Harry Styles, crocheted cardigan that I never actually finished. As for reading, though, I am a lifelong reader. I will read until I die. I literally am going to put in my will that one of my favorite books of all time is going to get buried with me. That's how much I love to read. I haven't had the time to read as much as I would have liked to within the past couple years, which is why I'm really trying to change it. And, oh my God, guys, gonna give a little shout out to y'all. I created a book club called the Bad Bitches Book Club because I wanted to not only help myself get back into reading, but also help others. So I have a friend named Bailey who said that she kind of strayed away from reading because, life gets busy. You get older and you don't find the time to do it anymore. It's not as entertaining as it used to be when you were younger and didn't have to pay taxes or pay rent, And she read 2 books and like 2 pretty big books, like I think a total of 1,100 pages within a couple weeks. Like I want to say 2 weeks, which like I really applaud her for that. I could never. So I'm really glad that she got back into reading, and I'm glad that a lot of the people in the book club have a similar sentiment. And I, feel the same way. I said earlier on this podcast that I read 6 books already. I'm so unbelievably proud of myself for completing 6 books within the first 2 months of the year. So I don't know, should I go ahead and up my goal count or should I keep it at 10 and feel like a little bit more accomplished if I, go past 10 books? Let me know. Speaking of books, the next question is, what was the last thing you read? So the last book I finished was A Lesson in Vengeance by Victoria Lee. It was recommended to me by my friend Abby, and even though it was a good book, the first 2/3 of it, I feel like she kind of flopped at the ending. I don't know if that is a shared sentiment between others who have read the book, but I I don't know. I believe if you're going to write a mystery thriller book, at least go through with it. I feel like she just threw together an ending real quick and hoped that it sticked. I would say overall, I give the book 3 out of 5 stars. As for the last book I read in general, it's actually Down the Drain by Julia Fox, which is an autobiography. It basically just goes through her timeline starting from 1996 when she first stayed in the US as a permanent resident. And so far, I honestly think it's a great, so I'll keep you guys updated as I go along. I'm also listening to the audiobook for Little Women. I've seen the movie. I've never read the book for some reason, and I figured it would be a nice little audiobook to listen to. So I'll also be keeping you guys updated on that one. The next question we have here is, would you say you're more of an extrovert or an introvert? Personally, I think I can be quite an introvert, but I have been told I'm very extroverted. And while I do feel like I'm extroverted to my core, I have introvert tendencies. By that I mean I get burnt out really easily when it comes to hanging out with people, especially people that I don't know very well or who waste my energy. And I don't mean waste my energy like they're not worth my time, but I mean they're just kind of exhausting to hang around with. Like, I feel like everyone has, their group of friends that instead of draining their battery, if anything, like energizes their battery. And that's what my friend Abby, Cal, Maria, Sweta, Brooke, that's kind of like what they are to me. They're people who energize me rather than drain me. So kudos to you guys. So yeah, I think I'm a little bit of a mix of both, but I think for the most part, I would consider myself an extrovert. Our last question here, it says, are you into podcasts or do you only listen to music? So I have podcast days and I have music days, and they're not set in stone. There are just some days where I get tired of music and I just want to listen to people talk. There are also days when I'm tired of hearing people talk and I just want to listen to music. So it kind of depends on my mood, but I think they're honestly pretty equal. I think I listen to as much music as I listen to podcasts. So I think it's very fitting that I'm making my own podcast. What do you guys think? But those are all the questions that I have today. I might add some more questions for the next podcast episode so that way you guys get to know me just a little bit more. Maybe they'll be a little bit more thought-provoking rather than the generic date questions. What's your favorite color? Where do you like to eat most? Did your mother abuse you? All that good stuff. So I think we're kind of naturally going towards the end of the podcast episode today. I really hope you guys enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed recording it. Like I said, this first episode will not have a video attached to it. I might have some photos kind of in the background so that way you guys have a visual aspect. But the next episode, I think I am going to go ahead and do a video recording. So before I leave today, let me know what you guys thought of my first podcast episode. I really appreciate you guys, sitting down, spending the time with me. I know it was kind of hard listening to this voice talk to you. Like, I get it. I listen to it every single day. But please let me know what you guys think. Please give me a thumbs up if you can. Subscribe to the channel. That would mean the world to me. And let me know what you guys are looking for in this podcast. Are you wanting me just to speak into the universe? Do you want specific segments out of me? Do you want me to bring in guests? Because I can bring in guests for you guys. But thank you guys so much for listening to the podcast, and I'll see you next time.